Hello, everyone. My name is Trish McCabe, and welcome to Conversations from the School of Hard Knocks. Today, I have my guest joining me again, Hone.
Kia ora,
Welcome.
hello. That's kia
Hi,
ora. Kia
so
ora
fun.
is hello in my language, which is Maori from New Zealand, Aotearoa. Kia
Oh,
ora.
it's pretty. What a beautiful language. I love it. Thank you.
Thank
Um,
you.
okay, so we did our first podcast based on a meme that you put out a few weeks ago, and I just loved it. Um, Everything you ever dreamed of is inside your heart. So we did that podcast. Now we're kind of going to the next, digging a little deeper from the first one to this one now. And what I would love to talk about is the connection when you're meditating, and just the connection
Sure.
from your mind to your heart,
Sure.
and that communication between the two.
Sure.
What have you learned about that?
That's a very, very interesting question, and I love it. Just to back up a little bit, I practice meditation every day. I set aside a minimum of an hour every day, and I set aside or a maximum of 2 hours every day. So I make sure as best as I can to have that 1 hour to 2 hours up my sleeve every morning that I wake up. And it's for me, it's just as important as having coffee and having breakfast, as making that connection to me, because you wake up in the middle of the night, and I talked about this before, but you wake up every day and you want to have that clarity. You want to have that peace. You want to have that connection to yourself. You want to be in the moment. And that's all part of meditation, all part of clarity, all part of having that peace, is that we live in the here and now. And you want to make sure that we have the best day possible. We want to have that clarity, have that peace.
I love that. So when you meditate, and we talked about this before, it's like you're checking in with your thoughts. You're finding out what they are. You're being still long enough to see what thoughts are coming to you, so you can properly
to, uh, to,
assess
a,
them.
to a certain point, your thoughts are never going to go away. Your thoughts are always there. But thoughts become noise. They're noise. So what meditation does is, and what my meditation does, I don't call it meditation anymore. I call it turning within, turning inside, looking inside.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, looking inside, turning within. And what turning within, what looking within does, it takes you away from that noise. The noise is still there, but it turns the level of that noise down. And when you think about it, what's peace? What's the opposite of peace? It's noise. What's the opposite of noise? It's peace. So basically, the practice that I do, turning within, it turns down that noise. Now I've been back up again. I've been practicing this for a little while, quite a few decades, and
Oh, wow.
it's right. And my practice up and before lockdown was nowhere near as disciplined as it is now. But lockdown for me became a blessing in disguise, because I always had the excuse before lockdown that I was too busy. I had too many things on. I had family stuff going on at work. I always use work as an excuse. I work at a busy New York City airport. So when I work around the clock, I would get home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then sometimes I'd be back at work at early in the morning again the next day. And I always used work as an excuse. Now, nothing has changed. Just that lockdown gave me the opportunity to say to myself, what do I really want to do? What do I really want to practice? What do I really want to feel in my life? And I always knew that I needed and I had to practice this practice of going within, of turning within. So during lockdown, I was able I had no more excuses, basically. I didn't have one more. I ran out of excuses.
Yeah,
And
and
so
it helped you to form that discipline, it become a routine, a healthier routine, so
I
that
was, yeah,
when you had to go back to work and you had to go back out there, you were grounded in that routine. It became part of your
it became a beautiful way to
caring for
start.
yourself.
It became a beautiful way to start my day. I looked around my family. All my kids were home for lockdown. and they will go in stir crazy. There was like not enough to do, not enough going on. They didn't know how to, fill in the empty moments of not doing anything, how to face each other, how to talk with each other, how to be in each other's face 24/7. And a lot of families, where everybody went through that. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I
Yeah.
had a beautiful way that I'd always wanted to do. And the world finally stopped for me, and it says like, honey, okay, I'm going to stop for you. I'm going to give you a chance to put your mouth where to do what you said you always wanted to do. So I realized I was facing myself, and I knew that I had to take advantage of the situation, because it's a rare thing that the world stopped.
Opportunity.
Yeah, it was an opportunity.
Yes. Same thing with my podcasts. It's the same thing. I've been wanting to do this for years. I'm like, people need to
Yep.
know this stuff. So when it hit and I had the time off, I'm like, if you don't take advantage of this
Yeah.
windfall of time and space to get this off the ground. So, and a lot of people ask me, how do you do it? I'm like, I just did it. It just
Yeah.
went out there and I'm like, I just started
Yeah.
and let it guide me, go with the flow. And here we are today. You are the first person that's actually asked to be on my podcast, which is such an honor to me.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for
Thank
that.
you. I was looking for an outlet. I mean, I know that my message is not new, it's not unique. But I know from the people that I talk to uh, that the practice of turning within and the importance of turning within, for me, has changed my life. It's changed everything. It's changed
Mm.
everything about the way I perceive the world, way I perceive myself. The happiness and the joy that I experience now, the peace that I experience now, was non-existent. It was like just tiny little pieces. And now, through practice and daily practice, that there is a well inside of us. There is this well
Oh, I
of
like
joy that
that. What a lovely metaphor. Well, I love that. I love that.
and what's beautiful about that is that we were born with it. Every single person, if you're breathing, you're born with it. And we walk around high and dry. We walk around, we're so
Drained.
drained, we're so thirsty for peace, we're so thirsty for knowledge, we're so dried up from this world. And we have this well inside of us. That's what I do every morning. I dip into the well, and I don't stop until I'm satisfied.
And that comes with a feeling, I would imagine.
That comes
The
with the
feeling
feeling of,
comes over you.
it comes with the quietness. It comes with the
Mm.
stillness. It comes with the silence. It comes with the noise turned down. And I experience it. I feel it. I have no idea how it happens. It's just that I'm able
Mm.
to turn down the noise. I'm able to remain still. I'm able to stay quiet, and I'm able to turn down the noise. And it's like, I've been talking about talking about happiness and peace a lot lately. And a lot of people talk about, what is happiness. Happiness is da 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 da. Peace is da 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 da. Joy is da 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 da. But it's not in the explanation. It's in the feeling. It's
Feeling.
in the feeling.
Yes. The
So
feeling.
so what we want to describe it. We want to give it a
Yes.
title.
Yes. Yes. And we get caught up in that. And
Get caught up in that,
I
because
call it chatter.
yeah, that's
It's
noise.
this chatter in your mind.
Noise. Yeah, that's the noise. That's the
And
noise that I mean.
I hear a lot of people say this, and I'm wondering how this would pertain to the work that you do. Of it's not luck, it's alignment.
Mm-hmm.
And would you say that when you do this, you're aligning with your true self, your true nature,
If
your
there's
true heart?
if there's any explanation to it, because like I said a minute ago, I don't know how it works, but if there's any explanation, that's what it is. It's alignment. You're aligning yourself. You're coming in line with yourself, and and then beautiful things happen. Peace happens. Happiness happens. Joy happens. It's already there. You just bring in the focus together, and then you're quietening the
The chatter.
noise, the chatter,
Yeah.
and
Enough
then
to hear it
something.
and feel it.
Well, it's interesting. It's so interesting, because it's a study for me. Like it's a complete study. Every day is a new study,
Mm.
and I'm coming to the realization, and I'm just scratching the surface of this, but happiness, peace, joy waits. It waits. Patience waits. All that good stuff just waits for you. And when it feels and when it knows that you're ready, it will open itself to you.
Hmm.
Like like people talk about how you gotta, don't want for this, or don't need for this, or don't try and grab this because you'll never get it. It's along those lines. It's more
Hmm.
than that, because our like look, you're in a relationship. When you're in a relationship and you love somebody, you can't force your love on them, and you can't force their love back on you, right?
Right.
You have to wait, and if that you have to wait for their love, hopefully that if you love this person, you have to through your
Be.
expressions,
Be.
through your you have to be, yeah. And hopefully they feel that love from you, and then they come to you. You can't trap them,
One
although
thing on that note that I think is really important to mention,
actually
and I'm in a relatively new relationship, and one of our mottos, because we both went through very difficult relationships in our past, that we made a motto and an agreement that I'm not here to save you. You're not here to save me. We're here to hold each other's hands while we save ourselves. So
say
you
that
don't
again.
have
Let's
that
say that last part again.
attachment.
Right.
We're here to hold each other's hands while we save ourselves.
So
Love
we
is a
say that.
self thing.
Right.
Once you give it to yourself, then you have something to give.
Right.
But if you're
Right.
dependent and codependent on your partner,
Right.
you're going to create an unhealthy
Right.
connection.
If all the gamblers
Yeah.
out there, you're playing poker. You can't play poker if he's got $1 million. He's got $1 million. You come to the table with nothing.
Hmm.
you know,
Yes.
you
And,
can't. If you invite people to Thanksgiving, it's Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, to everybody. Bring
happy
people to
Thanksgiving. Yeah.
If you
Oh,
bring people to your table for Thanksgiving, you've got to have something. You got to have Thanksgiving. I mean, imagine if invited 10 people for Thanksgiving, and they come to your place, and you're, all right, we're going to sit down, and there's like no food. It's like, we coming, you've got to have something to offer. You got to have something to give. And then, it's expectations as well, of course, but that's something
oh,
else.
yes. 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 And that the food is self love,
Yeah.
love for
Yeah.
yourself, and love for yourself. A lot of people don't even know what that is. We're not taught that.
Right.
To accept all that you are, good, bad, or
Right.
indifferent,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
without criticizing per se. I mean,
You,
yes, you hold yourself accountable for your
yeah,
life, but yeah,
you can't go into a relationship being needy.
yes.
I need this. I
Yes.
need this. I need. You've got to be. What's the old saying? To give is to receive.
And
You
it's
know.
because when you're needy, you're doing that based off of this idea that you don't already have it.
Yeah.
But when you have it for yourself, you don't need
Yeah.
it from anyone else.
And
Then you
and
can give from a place without resentment.
that's why getting back to turning within and is going within inside yourself is that you're finding your fulfillment within inside of yourself first and foremost. You're looking inside yourself. You're going
Mhm.
inside yourself. You're looking to your own fulfillment. You're filling your own cup. You're going to your own well. You're filling yourself, and then from that position, from that point of having of going within and knowing yourself, and being and having your joy, having your happiness, having your love, then you can go out wherever you want, wherever. That's your strength.
I love this. It's like you can count, it's counting on yourself. Would you say,
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like what you do is the ultimate way to love yourself, is
Ultimate
to honor
stand,
yourself?
standing on your own 2 feet. That's why we have 2 feet. Standing on your own 2 feet. Learning
My
to stand
friend
on
says
your.
protecting your quarterback, you know, honoring yourself
Yeah,
first.
yeah. You've got to be, you've got to be strong. You got to have strength in this life. You got to have courage in this life. You've got to have inspiration in this life. You got to go. You got to have something to give.
This is so
So
cool.
yeah,
I'm so
and all
excited.
that's and all that stuff, and all that comes from inside of us. And we it's taken me a little while to come to this understanding, come to this realization. But the big change in me was, again, was turning within, learning to tune within, and then learning. I practiced meditation for decades, and for many of those decades I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it.
Oh, wow.
I did not. It was. I did not. I would sit in meditation, and I would most of the time I would be thinking, is my hour up. Most of the time I would be thinking, is this working? And most of the time I'm thinking,
Hmm.
is this going to work? I mean, we be full of thoughts like, am I wasting my time? You
Which
know,
is like an attachment to the meditation rather than being in the
it's also,
flow. You're
it's all,
attached to it and wanting it to
well,
give
it's
you
also,
something
yeah,
specific, right?
it's that, but it's also doubting yourself. You're doubting that you're going to find anything inside
Okay.
yourself. You doubt that you doubt that there's anything there, because like there's, you're sitting in meditation, and you do it, and it's like there's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. I'm not going to find it. I don't feel any. I feel worse. My mood is deteriorated. I'm just as miserable as when I started, and then they went on for a long time. And
What
then
was it that caused the shift?
what was
Where,
it? A good question. It was just the noise. That was all noise.
okay.
My noise was, we all have this noise going on. We finished talking about that. And we think that our noise. A lot of people tell me this exact same thing, that they can't sit and meditate, and I tell them, I respond with a yes. I say I couldn't meditate either. To think that I'm doing 2 hours now is
Wow.
impossible. To think that I could barely sit for 2 minutes. And the turnaround came when my days became a feelings. My days I was in. I noticed I was in the moment. I noticed that I was experiencing more joy. I noticed that I was thinking these beautiful thoughts, and it came down. I didn't know it was wisdom. I was thinking these beautiful thoughts, and I'm going,
Hmm.
that's wisdom. And then I started writing these things down, and then and I experienced it. Like, I'll go through periods of the day where I'm just feeling a feeling of bliss and happiness. Sorrow would come, sadness would come, having an off day, having a bad day would come. And then over the period of 2 years, especially since I started, I made, like I said, I made this practice a daily practice, and it's so enjoyable now. I look forward to it, like I look forward to sleep at night, like I look forward to eating during the day. It is so
Hmm.
enjoyable, and it puts me in that place where I can have great days, fantastic days, beautiful days. I
So
walk in.
it's tapping into the well of your own wisdom.
That's just one. That's just one.
Hmm.
That's just one of the benefits. For just That's just its own little. You tap into, tapping into that happiness. You're tapping into that joy. And like I said last week, they all come strung together. They all come tied together. You don't just get clarity on its own.
Hmm. That's
You get
powerful.
you get the whole. It's like you get. It's like you get. Like when it rains in the desert, the skies just open up. And it's like look what happens in the desert. The desert goes, oh no, not too much rain. The next thing you know, like the desert like hasn't seen rain for 10 years, and all of a sudden it rains, and then everything beautiful is green. It turns into flowers. Fish come out of nowhere. Life comes out of nowhere. And what was once a barren,
Hmm.
dry ground is just like this beautiful desert flowers and green and animals and life everywhere. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with us. Some of us might feel like we're in a desert, that there's nothing,
Yes.
nothing, 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 nothing. And
Yes.
so there's, and I felt like that too at one point, but not
Yes. Me
in, not in,
too.
I'm not afraid of sadness. I'm not afraid of sorrow.
Okay. This is so huge.
I'm not
This is
afraid of,
so
uh,
important.
yeah,
Mm.
sure. I'm not I'm a human being. I'll feel sorrow. I'll feel sadness, but I'm not afraid of, like, I know that when sadness comes, when sorrow comes, all I have to do is just wait a little while, because I know that my joy is just around the corner of that. And when joy and happiness comes, I just love it. I enjoy it. I live it. I feel it. And then you feel like something, you might feel something might happen in your life, and you feel sorrow and sadness. But know that, don't be afraid of it. Don't Some people say embrace your sadness, embrace your sorrow. No, just let it flow. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. It'll move.
I
and the more you're in tune with yourself, the more you know this.
and this is how you do it. Like I saw someone in one of my groups, it's called the Ram Dass group, but and wonderful conversations about the stuff are happening. And they said the holidays are coming, the depression is here. Any advice? And what I've learned, this is my humble, 2 cents, is I say, well, be with it. Ask it what it's trying to tell you. Because if you're pushing it away, it's only going to get worse because it wants to be heard. It's trying to
Yeah,
tell you something about yourself that
yeah,
needs to be addressed. And if you're always no, 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 bad and wrong, you'll never
yeah,
get the answer. That's what
yeah,
they mean by the obstacle is the path. That
yeah.
if
You
it's
know, you know,
showing up, that's what needs to be addressed so you
you know,
can know who
yeah,
you are, learn about
yeah,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, yeah, family gatherings. It's Thanksgiving's coming up, and the holidays are around the corner. And family gatherings, a huge amount of pressure for a lot of people. All of a sudden, we have to leave our comfort zone and put ourselves with a group of people that we may not like, or we may like, or we've been fighting with, or we haven't been fighting with, or we've seen and we haven't seen for a while, and we're like shoved into this one little room, and we've got forced to make conversation. And if you have, so back up a little. Today I just came from a pre-Thanksgiving party, and I did my usual routine. I went and practiced for about hour 15 minutes, I think, today. And I wanted to put myself in that. I wanted to align myself. I wanted to be in that. I have that best possible opportunity to be me, to have the best possible day. And then there's no change from going to a Thanksgiving party, going to work, even when I'm on vacation. I have to center myself even on vacation. Like some people wait for vacation to center themselves. They're like, oh, okay, now that I'm on vacation, I think I'll meditate. I'm gonna meditate, and because I have the time, so I'm gonna meditate. And then you know but for me, it's whether I'm vacation, whether I'm going to holiday parties, whether I'm going to work, I've got to center myself. So I went to this party, and I was thinking about the show, the podcast all day, and if I'm going to be ready, because I'm going to be in a group of people. We're going to be talking about A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. We're going to be all group, and it was such a beautiful experience. So I walked in, and I was late, by the way. I came in like 10. Everybody was waiting to eat, and walked in there, and everybody was in the living room, and with that two couples and a couple of kids, and maybe about 8 or 9 people in the room waiting. And I looked in, and I looked at everybody. I go, wow, everybody looks so well behaved. How's it? It was like I cracked a joke just to walk in, just to break the ice. I was, if I let my mind go at it, I was like, oh, I don't want to go to this party because I want to do my podcast, and I want to be in the best possible place for the podcast, and then and then I'm going to have to leave the party early because I got there at 12 o'clock, and I'm going to have to leave at 1:30. It's noise. It's all noise. It's all noise.
One thing that came to mind as you were talking about this, I see this a lot in the spiritual groups where they talk about observe, don't absorb. And I'm thinking this work that you do enables you to do that and be
Yeah.
mindful of your
Like when you,
environment more and
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. When you said don't absorb, because you're looking inward. You're looking inward all the time. You're looking inward, and you're
Mm,
feeling your own peace. That's the key, is to look inward, and to be in a situation where you know
there's a lot of
everything is going.
energy.
Yeah,
There's all these
everything's
people in
going.
the room and all their energy, and
It
you
could be
go
fear.
in and you can
Yeah,
feel it all, right? So, how do
it
you
could be no. Well,
navigate
no,
through
you
that?
don't. You keep looking. It's the same thing when you walk into the office. It's the same thing when
Right.
you walk into a supermarket. It's the same thing when you go on a plane. It's the same thing when you with a group of people. It doesn't matter what it is that your gaze, and that comes from looking inward. Your gaze is always looking inward to your peace.
That's a
You've
lovely
got
word, gaze. Mm.
we carry our peace within ourselves, and you're always feeling that peace, and you're always looking inward at that peace. So whatever happens around you is not going to change. It's going to be whatever it is. You're going to be observing, but you're not absorbing. You're not absorbing because you're looking inward. You're actually bringing what's inside of you out, and that's what other people feel from you. It's like you walk into, you can that's what that means when you light up a room, because you're carrying the light. You're carrying the light, and you're just being you, and that light from within you lights up the room. It's no effort on your part. It's joy.
And so that, yeah, I think that's for me, that's the biggest challenge, because I'm so
Oh,
sensitive that,
right.
when I go out into the day, I have to
Yeah,
work
we're
really
always,
mindful
we're always
of not
yeah,
absorbing others'
right.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I love that. So, okay, let's say you go into a situation, whatever it is, work or just go out into your day, and you feel those things.
right. Yeah,
It's
you're afraid.
instead of
You're
I
afraid.
don't want, just go in, look
Right.
at yourself, ground. How do you,
We're afraid.
when you
We're
get it?
gotta go
Okay,
beyond the fear. We're afraid. We're afraid of the day. We're afraid of if we go out. We're afraid of when we
fear.
see people. We're fear. We're afraid we see a group of people and we might know them from such and such. We're afraid of them. I'm going to sit in my car and wait for them to go, and then I'm going to go out. Or you walk into a group of people and we all have people that we don't agree with all the time, and you're going to be faced with that all the time when you go into
Yes.
work. That's if you carry a piece, if you look at when you practice what I practice and you're looking inward, it's the practice of looking inward, of gazing inward to that feeling, so that when whatever happens around me, you want to, no matter what happens around you, you want to still hang on, you want to still have that peace and have that gaze going inward. So it's like watching a movie. You're just watching the movie, but you're carrying that feeling inside of you. You're not dependent on what's happening outside of you to make you happy.
You said that word, feeling. So one of the things that I really felt like I wanted to talk about today was the connection between your thoughts and your heart, your mind and your heart, and
Right,
how to discern the difference.
right,
How do you
right,
discern the
right. So,
difference?
well, thoughts, unless they're happy thoughts. I mean, I don't, I don't mean thinking, trying to. If you try and think happy thoughts, that's not going to work either.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
important.
yeah, and so you can't think yourself to feel better. Otherwise, we'd all be feeling better.
Oh,
If we
that's
all want to,
great.
if yeah, it makes sense, right? You
Yeah.
can't, it's impossible. Otherwise, the entire planet would be happy, because what all we have to do is walk around thinking happy thoughts.
When
And then we
that goes back to what you were saying about embracing what you're feeling. Like if you're sad, go ahead and let
right.
yourself feel it,
So
let it flow.
right. So
Right.
yeah. So we come from it. We've got it backwards.
Yes.
We all got it backwards. We look outside so we can feel good inside,
Oh, that's so true. Mm, that's so
instead of
true.
feeling inside, looking inside, and let that come out.
So that when you look at it like that, this is what I've been talking with a lot of people about when you're depressed or you're sad and you
Right.
look
We've all
into
been
it.
there. I've been there. We've
We've
all
all
been
been
there.
there. And you
Yep.
look at it and you allow it, it allows you to, what's the word I'm looking for? Use it, not fight it, work with it, right? Like,
It's like two things cannot occupy the same place at the same time, right? So
right.
if you're feeling bad, you can't feel bad and feel good at the same time. And it's either one or the other. You either feel
Okay.
good or you feel bad. Maybe there's like a tiny area there where you kind of feel okay, and feeling okay is fine. But ultimately, we all want to feel good. So we go. So we have to find out in our lives what makes us feel good. To keep it as simple as we can, what makes us feel good, and it's not out there. That's what lockdown showed to me. It's not out there. Lockdown gave me the opportunity. I knew that my happiness, my joy, my peace was not out there. That I had to look inside myself, and
Okay.
lockdown gave me the opportunity.
So what comes first, the thought or the feeling?
From feeling, feeling,
Okay. So
feeling.
you're going about your day and something happens and you start to feel bad.
Right,
What
right.
do you
Let it
do?
let it go. Let it go.
How do
Let
you
it
do that?
let it
People don't
shake it
know
off.
how to do that.
Yeah, shake. It's just practice, but shake it off. Shake it off. Like we all say that, and like you watch sports and like, oh, look, number 6 is shaking up on the play. We take it for granted, and we can also,
Hmm.
like when you see a dog. Well, what's the dog gonna do? Gets wet, shakes it off. We have to. That's strength, and that's knowledge, and that's understanding as well. It all comes into that. Sure. The other day, my boss, my boss said to me, he said something, and it was something to the effect that he wanted me to do a job, and he's naive, a little bit naive. I've been in my job for 30 years. I'm not just going to agree to do a job just because he wants me to do. He's got to, there's steps, there's procedures. You can't just go to this person and say, do this. You've got to, there's a line of command that he's got to go through. And I kind of took that as, I had these expectations that he knew better. And I let it affect me. And then next day I said, shake it off. It's shake it off. It's nothing.
Okay.
It's nothing.
So where it gets confusing, I see a lot of people say, don't be negative, don't think negative thoughts.
Right.
And
Right.
that title gets in the way, I think. In other words,
Right.
it's like if you're depressed, let's say you're depressed, and they say just stop being depressed. That doesn't really work.
That's not going to happen. No.
So when people hear you say shake it off, they
Right.
think that you're saying don't be,
Right.
don't
No,
if you have a feeling, just ignore it or push it away.
You can't.
What's
We're
the
like
difference?
we're like a big ship, like a big ocean liner, and we're heading and you know what a big ocean liner is. If say the captain goes, all right, there's an iceberg up ahead, we're going to have to turn around. If here's the iceberg, the ship needs a lot of room. It's a big slow turn. You need it take everything in good time. You can't just go from depression to happiness like that unless you've got little steps. I didn't go from my realization today. I didn't go from depression to feeling wonderful, feeling good, and I didn't go from not being able to meditate to being able to meditate. It was
Overnight.
overnight. It was a work in
Process.
progress. Yeah. And it
Right.
was a constant. It was being disciplined. It was
There you go.
knowing what I wanted. It was understanding. It was knowledge, and it was changing my life, making changes.
And would you say that's because you're mindful when they talk about mindfulness?
Yeah, sure. Well, we're always mindful. Be mindful of the right things.
Right. And that's like, if you have a thought, because I find that if I have certain thoughts, they don't make me feel good.
No,
And I'm like, why
no.
am I thinking that thought that's making me
Right.
feel
We
bad?
can't.
Why am I
That's
feeding that
right.
monster
Right.
of,
Yep. Yeah.
a thought,
Yeah.
guilt?
You can't just
Guilt is a big one. Guilt.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
people carry around so much guilt and regret. Guilt and regret are big, big,
Yeah.
big killers with a
Yeah.
person's spirit, I find.
Yeah. It took me a long time to turn my boat around, and that's what it is. It took me time, but I kept that wheel turning. I didn't give up on that wheel. I kept turning the wheel until I felt that I was back on track. I didn't give up at all.
So when you're turning the wheel, what's happening is you're mindful of your thoughts and your feelings.
You're understanding.
And then you're changing that inner dialogue, so to speak.
No, actually, the inner dialogue doesn't change. It just the noise lessens. Then the dialogue keeps going. The negativity can still keep going, but the feeling changes. The feeling you feel. When I first started, I would feel just a little bit of peace, and then it'll be gone. And then the next day or the next week, I'd feel a little bit of peace, and then it'll be gone. Be like a flash, it'll be gone. And then I go, well, but that was nice. And so you trace back your steps. Now, what was I doing? So, well, I want to keep practicing. I want to keep going because I'm getting these feelings of peace. I'm getting these feelings of joy. I want more of it.
Do you find that attachment has a lot to do with it? Where
well, there's nothing wrong with attachment if it's attached to the right thing.
Well, but yes, but I'd mentioned this some time ago, and you liked it. And attached to nothing, connected to everything.
Right. Right.
And so
Right.
the attachment part that I'm talking about, where you can't be happy till this happens, or you can't be happy till somebody says this, or you can't be
Right.
happy until this person's in your life, or you've had this
Right.
certain amount of
Right. Those are
success. Da, 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 da,
right.
da. It's
Those
like
are
putting
all
your happiness on hold
right.
till these
Right.
things arrive.
Right. Those are all expectations, right?
Yes.
Those are
I
all
think this
so
is a big element in what we're
right.
talking here because I see so many people do that, myself included. Everything, by the way, people, I am not above anything. This is all
Right.
observation and having an
Yep.
open conversation of the human
We
experience
are.
at every
I hope.
level.
Yeah, I hope that everybody listening can relate to something that we're saying. All I'm saying is that I've simplified my life. I've become simple. I've made a connection to myself, and I go from that connection within every day. All the stuff is happening on around me. It's still going on. It's still going on. It's the stronger my connection to myself, the less of the connection, or the less that everything that's going on around is disconnecting. It's always been disconnecting, and it's disconnecting from everything that's going around with me, connecting with it. At the same time, it reinforces your connection to the world. And it's again,
Yeah.
it's opposite. It's opposite. So
Yeah. You're not
we disconnect.
dependent on something else. You know that you can go within and dip into the well of your own wisdom.
And
And then
right,
after once you do that, you don't need anything else because you're meeting it yourself. You're meeting your own needs. I think that's so
right, right,
important.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the world doesn't change, but the world, you're not trying to fit the world into your ideas and your way of which way the world should go. You're fitting into yourself, and then you're seeing the world as it is.
Hmm. When I see people say go with the flow,
It's not,
what do you
yeah.
think about that?
That's the if Just not hanging on to anything, not hanging on to
Attachment.
not yeah not yeah there we go, your attachment.
Connected but not attached.
But
Connected.
wait, okay, let's back up there. Let's
Yeah.
back up. So you're talking about the flow. Now, where is the flow?
Yes. That's a
Where is
good
it?
question.
Where is it?
In yourself, I guess, what you were saying, in the
That's
well
what
of your own stuff.
that's the flow that we all talk about. That we all just
Hmm.
like fairy dust. The flow is inside of us. We connect when we say go with the flow. That flow is inside. We're connecting to the flow inside of us. That's the flow.
Hmm.
That's where the flow. Where else can it be? It can't be anywhere else.
I hear that a lot. Everything is an inside job.
It's so hard because our eyes are always looking outward.
Yes.
Always looking outward. And that, there's a monk who I follow on social media. And I was very surprised at what he said. And he was, I don't talk about the third eye at all. I
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
too spiritual for me. Um, but he said it was kind of weird because he made me, his words were like, I had this done to me and he had some sort of operation done to me and I can't see my third eye anymore. And I'm not sure if he means that he could actually see his third eye on his forehead or
What
so
is that? Okay.
I kind of got that feeling that he said, I had this operation, I can't see my third eye anymore. And I didn't want to be ignorant or naive or smart and say, you mean you could see your third eye with these eyes? I mean, he's a long time practicing Buddhist
Right.
monk or
Wow.
whatever.
That's
I mean,
really,
I immediately said that, I started thinking about the third eye. So when we look inside ourselves, guess what since he brought up the word or the phrase third eye. So that's what looking inside ourselves is.
I want to say something that's really important because I had a big shift on this particular. I'm in abusive recovery groups, and I see people giving advice, giving advice to everyone asking for advice. And something in me, I don't know why, but it really profoundly it pertains to what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. So I said, if you had someone that you loved dearly that was in your predicament, what advice would you give them? And they said, oh, I did. And I go, see, to me, that's the third eye. The third eye is the detached, the third party that's looking at your situation from outside so you can see it without the emotional coloring.
Sure,
Once
sure.
you can see it without the emotional coloring, you know what to do. You really, because we live in a world where everybody's always asking everybody what they should be doing. Well, then you'll always be their slave. You'll always be attached to what everybody else thinks you should be doing. When if you can give someone else advice, why can't you give yourself that same advice?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I applied that to my own life and I made a
Yeah.
huge life change because I was able to get my third eye, which I think is that's what I feel it is, the objective person within you that can see it from a third party place, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense.
I like, firstly, I like to keep everything as simple, as simple, as simple, as simple, as simple as I can. So when you talk about, all that kind of stuff, um, based, getting back to third eye, we say look within. What do you think we're looking within with?
Right.
We need
Yeah.
eyes. We
Yeah.
need eyes to look within.
Yes.
We're not When we look
Yes.
within, we don't look with these eyes. And if anybody wants to make a connection with third eye, to me, what the third eye is, that's what we look within ourselves with. We look within with that
And we
vision.
check to see everything from our own inner
Yeah, yeah,
seeing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
See, because they were always, asking everyone else about their
yeah.
predicament when they didn't have their own selves. Their own
Okay,
selves was
how
missing in
can how
navigating
can
their
right?
life.
But how can you give good
Yes.
advice if you don't have good advice for you to give to yourself?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what you're saying. That's what you're
Yes.
saying.
Yes. And that was huge. Now, when I find
Do it,
myself
do it,
wanting
do
to
it, do
look
it.
for
That's the
advice from
saying,
people,
right? That's the
I
saying.
ask
Do as I say,
myself,
not as I do. Do as I say, not as I
yeah,
do. That's the
yeah.
same
And
thing.
what enabled me to do it is like if I have someone that I care, if I think about somebody I care about that's in my predicament, I can see it clearly. I can see it and I can go, well, this is what you should do. Well, why aren't you saying that to yourself, Trish? You
Right,
already
right,
know the answer, but when you're
right.
asking everybody else for advice, you're negating that
That's
you
why.
already know.
That's why we need peace in our lives. We all need peace in our lives. That's why our peace is so important. We have to be at peace with
Yeah.
ourselves. If when we're at peace with ourselves, there's no inner conflict.
Yeah,
And
that's a good one. I would
love,
love to do a podcast on that inner conflict and what creates it
love,
and how to
find
manage
your
it, how
peace.
to work with it.
Find your peace. How to find
Yeah.
where to find your peace to manage to so you don't have that inner conflict. When you have that inner conflict, it means one thing: you don't have peace. So when
And
you
you're
have
doubting
peace,
yourself. I think inner conflict has a lot to do with what you said earlier. When
all
you're
those,
doubting yourself,
when I talked about peace, joy, happiness, they all come tied together. It was the same thing on the other side: doubt, conflicts, sadness,
fear.
sorrow. Your fear. They all come connected to each other too. You don't just get doubt on its own. You don't just get
Yeah.
sorrow on it. You get everything. You get the whole
Yeah.
bucket. You get the whole thunderstorm. You get you get everything. So it's the same
Yeah.
thing. They're opposite two sides of the same coin.
Oh
Which
gosh, we were just talking about that. I did a podcast last night with my friend Pasha, which you guys have
mhm.
connected, which
Yep,
I really
yep,
love
yep.
that.
Very interesting character. Hey, Pasha, how's it
Yes.
going? How are you?
Yeah. And we did a podcast on duality and we really dug in on the duality
Right.
of everything. And when you don't work from that truth, you're off balance. It throws you off balance.
Yeah.
So
So
honoring all of it, that there's purpose for all of it and learning to work with it rather than judgment and condemnation and no, 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 I don't want that.
yeah,
And getting yourself stymied.
that's what's so important. Like that's so important for me is to every morning I align myself. Every morning I balance
Mhm.
myself. Every morning I find my peace. Every morning I find my joy. Every morning I find my happiness. Every morning, and then I go from there. Because it's like when we have a meal. If you eat breakfast in the morning, or you have whatever you have for your day to keep you going for the day, it's only going to last that one day. You maybe the next, maybe what I think we can last 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, rule of three or something like that. It's the same
Hmm.
thing. It's the same thing, rule of three. 3 minutes without air, something like that.
Wow.
Right.
That's
So
very fascinating.
so
Hmm.
we so we So for me, I can't, I'm happy today. I'm in peace today. I'm enjoying today, but I have to realign tomorrow. Every day I have to realign. Every day I have to renew the connection.
Dip into the well of your
Dip
own
into the well.
wisdom.
Every day. It's like, just like every day we have to drink water. Every day we have to eat food. Every day we have to sleep. Every day we have to rest. Every day we shower. Every day we clean the dirt of the day off. That's what meditation is. That's what turning inside. You're cleaning the dirt of our thoughts of yesterday, of the future, of expectations, all that kind of stuff, that all the noise.
Attachments.
Yeah.
And just
That's
be
it.
in the moment. When you're in the moment, you're not attached to everything. And that's what they mean, attached to nothing, connected to everything, going with the flow.
It
When you're
all
in the
includes
moment,
it
right.
includes all of that. And you don't need to
Yeah.
focus on any one thing. You don't need to focus on, like,
Hmm.
that's what mindfulness, they like mindfulness people, they focus on every little step. Like when they walk a path, they put the foot here and they put the foot here, and they're conscious of their hand going here, they're conscious of where they're looking. It's like, it's too many details.
Like you said,
It's too
simplicity,
simple. Yeah.
simplicity.
So I make that connection, make that alignment, make that balance, find my peace, go
And
out and enjoy
I
my
want
day.
to say that a lot of that comes with judgment.
It's good. Well,
Overthinking comes from judgment. I think just too much judging of where you should or shouldn't
you know,
be at any given moment.
see, if we focused on our peace, we wouldn't have any of that, on our peace inside. We wouldn't have it. If we focused on peace, peace, all that other stuff just gets washed away. All that other stuff just disappears, because we don't have those. We're not in that. We don't live in that world anymore.
And so
It's
when you say everything you ever dreamed of is inside your heart, how would that apply to what we're talking about here?
it's exactly what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's everything. It is everything.
Yeah.
I want every day I want to renew that connection to my heart. And I want to live my day from my heart. I don't want to live my day from up here, which is all the stuff that goes on in their minds. Oh, I want this, I want that, I'm jealous of this, I need that. Oh, I'm angry with this person. Oh, this person said this to me yesterday. Or this person wants me to do that. Just the noise just keeps going on and on and on. None of that's going to change. You just have to like that little shift, and it's a practice. For me, it's a
I,
practice. Every day it's a
I would like
practice.
to talk more about this because I have some questions about that, because
Mm-hmm.
I think the hard thing and the confusing thing for people would be like, um, we'll go back to this because I really do think that is where people get stuck, is when what you said earlier, when you admit you're feeling something, you know, if you're saying don't feel it, then you can't get past it. You can't,
Right,
it will keep coming at you, whatever
right,
emotion it is you're
right.
feeling,
You have to
whatever.
get right. You have to get close. See, you have to find out what do I want in my life? Do I want to get close to my heart? Do I want to get close to my joy? Do I want to get close to my happiness? Do I want to get close to love? Do I want to get close to peace? Or do I want all the other stuff? So my focus, and I know where my peace is, I know where my love is, I know where my heart is, and that's my focus. Everything else is going to go on in the world, and and every day you renew that connection to yourself, because everything is going to continue onwards, and it does.
And it
But
does.
yeah, it does. So I'd,
It
I'd
does.
love to. I'd love to continue the conversation and talk more about
Yes.
if your viewers wanted to ask questions as well. I'd love to talk more. But for me, it's always getting back to being that simple person. Looking, simple, starting, having that same practice every day of going within myself and making that connection to me, making that connection to me, to my peace, and going from there, making that connection to my wisdom, to my joy, to my happiness.
Oh, lovely. Okay. So I definitely want to do another podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
what just comes to me just intuitively is the word authenticity. I see a lot of people talking about this. So I think it would be great to cover that subject and how it
Yeah.
applies to the work that you do and
Yep.
what you're talking about
Yeah.
here about dipping into the well of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's having fun, right? It's all about having fun and enjoying ourselves, and coming from that right place, and having that confidence, and having that having that feeling of waking up and that being that kid again. That's what this is all about. And it's being that
Oh,
we talked about the other day, being that having that heart of a child, waking up with that enthusiasm, waking up with that feeling of what's going to happen today, and the joy of a new day, and going from there. And look, we're all adults. Our childhood is a long way. Has been is a long way away, but we still remember that feeling of being that child, having that heart of a child. And like I said last week, is that that heart of a child is still with us. That's the same
they've
connection.
lost connection with
That's the same
their inner
connection.
child.
Right. That's the
Yes.
same connection. It's
The
really,
one
really
that's gregarious and curious and excited at possibilities of
it's
the
still there.
day, and
It's still
and,
there.
and
That's
it gets bombarded with all this external stuff that we get
having that
lost.
inspiration. Yeah. Being inspired, having that inspiration and knowing where that
Inspiration.
inspiration comes from, and not looking into
Wow.
this, not looking at this world for inspiration, knowing where our inspiration comes from,
Hmm.
and growing with it in growing, growing as a person, growing every day, and
Getting
learning every day, and
and
learning
learning every day. I love that.
and
I
going
love that.
deeper
It's
and
great.
going deeper and deeper into our peace. We don't just get peace and that's it. We go, we go deeper and deeper and deeper into the peace. So because the storms of life will come, our trees are gonna get knocked around. Look behind me. I got all these big trees,
It's
and
beautiful.
the storms will knock these trees down. But these trees have deep roots. The roots go really deep. So the storms that we have will knock these trees down. But the trees with the deepest roots into the ground will still stay there. It's the same thing with us. We've got to go. If we have roots inside of us, the deeper you put your roots down into yourself, to your peace, to your joy, to your happiness. The storms of this world has
You're
will be
grounded. You're
less. There
truly
you
grounded in your own well of wisdom. I love it. I love it.
go. See, you
Oh,
know
this is
this.
so wonderful, honey. Oh, I really thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom and what you're learning in your life's journey.
This is
And
great. No, I'm just a pleasure for me to spend this time with you and your listeners. And happy Thanksgiving.
yes,
If you want to do another show, another, say along the same, we haven't changed the topic at all. It's still the same topic as last time.
just
Um,
just looking at all, there's
we're
so
just,
many
yeah,
variables.
we're just
Yeah,
talking, we're talking about the heart, and we're talking about the attributes of the heart.
I love that. All right. So
All right.
all right.
So yeah,
So for today, we're going to
yeah,
wrap it up and we'll come
sure.
back. And I really would like to put that word authenticity on the table. You can think
Right.
about it and we can watch this
It's
podcast.
something to think about for next. Where do we think our authenticity? I keep saying the same thing. Where do we think our authenticity comes from?
Being true to ourselves, I feel
Well,
truthful with ourselves, honoring our feelings, not saying what someone else wants to hear, and actually
so
saying how you really
What,
feel.
what about the well of authenticity? There's a
Okay,
huge
cool.
well, there's a
Oh, I
well of
love it.
authenticity. We drink from the well of authenticity, which we all carry within inside of ourselves. There's no
Hmm,
question. You have your own well of authenticity. I have my own well. Where every human being walking this planet has their own well of authenticity, and that's making the
wonderful.
connection to themselves, to their own well of authenticity, so that
I
they can
love
see,
that.
so we can all, you and I can see it for ourselves. We don't have to show it to anybody else. Well, we can show it to somebody else and say, look at your own well of authenticity, and it'll be this. It's the same well. It's the same well.
That's wonderful. Okay, the next podcast, we're definitely going to dig in on that one. I think it's just
I think, yeah,
fabulous. I
yeah,
love
that's it.
it.
Yep. All right. So
All
thank you,
right.
Patricia. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you, honey.
Thanksgiving to all the folks
Happy
out there.
Thanksgiving.
Happy holidays, and see you all soon.
I'm very thankful for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Till next time, guys.